Imagine stumbling upon a book that was written 1,000 years ago, but it feels kind of like the internet. A wild collection of notes on everything from military strategy and astronomy to, believe it or not, strange and unidentified flying objects. Well, today, we're cracking open exactly that. An incredible masterwork from Song Dynasty China, and we're going to try to unlock the single, brilliant mind behind it all.
The author himself, Shen Kuo, tells us pretty plainly what this book is. It's not some grand, planned-out epic. No, it's a personal collection of thoughts jotted down while he was relaxing in his garden retreat. He called it Brush Talks from a Dream Brook, and that's our direct line, our window straight into his mind from over 900 years ago.
Now, to really get a handle on Shen Kuo, there's a word you've absolutely got to know: polymath. Someone who's a master of a ton of different fields. You know, Leonardo da Vinci is the classic example we all think of. Well, as you're about to see, Shen Kuo was basically his equal, just a few centuries earlier.
So, let's meet this genius. Shen Kuo was a scholar, a high-ranking government official, a diplomat, and even a general in 11th century China. And this notebook of his, it is truly one of the most remarkable documents from anywhere in the pre-modern world.
Okay, so think of this book less like a novel and more like a massive, beautiful cabinet of curiosities. It has over 600 entries, and each one is like a little drawer you can pull open. And inside, you might find a groundbreaking scientific theory, a sharp piece of art criticism, or maybe a clever little military trick.
And the sheer range of topics is just breathtaking. He sorted his thoughts into all these different categories, covering pretty much the whole shebang, from how to run a country, to science, to the arts, and even the supernatural. And trust me, this list, it doesn't even begin to cover it all. It's like a snapshot of an entire world seen through the eyes of one incredibly observant person.
All right, let's pull open that first drawer and see what we find. We're going to start with Shen Kuo, the scientist, because honestly, some of his insights were so far ahead of their time, it's kind of mind-blowing.
So, picture it. It's the 11th century. The ocean rises and falls like clockwork, twice a day. So, what's causing it? Well, the common explanation back then was pretty simple, and, as it turns out, totally wrong.
Most people just figured it had to be the sun, right? It rises, it sets, it must be dragging the water around with it. But Shen Kuo, he actually looked closer. He observed the patterns and basically said, hang on, that makes zero sense. He pointed out that the timing of the tides didn't match the sun's schedule at all. It matched something else perfectly.
And this right here, this is his whole method in a nutshell: direct observation. He clearly connects the tides to the moon's phases and its position in the sky. This was a revolutionary piece of science. I mean, the full gravitational explanation wouldn't come along for another 600 years with Isaac Newton, but Shen Kuo was already pointing everybody in the right direction.
But he didn't stop there. Oh no, he was also completely fascinated by magnetism. In fact, Shen Kuo was the first person to write down a clear, detailed description of how you could use a magnetized needle for navigation, a technology that would, quite literally, change the world.
It sounds so simple, so elegant, doesn't it? He just lays out exactly how it's done. And he was a true experimenter. He tried floating the needle in water, balancing it on his fingernail, all to see which method was the most accurate. He even correctly noted that the magnetic pole isn't in the exact same spot as the true geographic pole, a concept we now call magnetic declination. Just incredible stuff.
Okay, so we've seen the scientist. Let's close that drawer for a moment and open up another one. Let's meet Shen Kuo, the strategist. See, this guy wasn't just some academic locked away in a tower. He served on the dangerous frontiers, and he really understood the brutal realities of war and espionage.
He gives us this really fascinating tactical problem. So imagine this: you catch an enemy spy, and his report accurately says your defenses are super strong and that attacking would be a bad idea. So what do? Well, Shen Kuo tells the story of a general's solution that is just pure psychological warfare. Okay, get this, because here's the brilliant part. The general lets the spy go with the correct information, but by punishing him publicly and tattooing his face, he makes the enemy commanders think the spy has been turned, that he's a double agent. So they get this accurate report telling them not to attack, but because of how it was delivered, they're convinced it's a trap to lure them in. So what do? They retreat. The battle is won without a single sword being drawn. Genius!
All right, let's do a little speed run through some of the other drawers in this incredible cabinet. This is where you really get a feel for the sheer, wonderful randomness of Shen Kuo's curiosity. It really is like scrolling through the world's most interesting social media feed.
So you might find a short, powerful lesson in good government. He tells this little story about an official who, instead of just grabbing taxes, had the foresight to get locals to plant mulberry trees. This created a booming silk industry that brought wealth to the whole region for generations.
And then boom, you turn the page and he's got this keen eye for art. He just cuts right through all the complicated theories to state a simple, basic truth about calligraphy. No matter how wild and expressive the style gets, the art has to be true to its core tools, the brush and the ink.
And then you get to the entries that are just strange and wonderful. He records this story about a completely unique flower that bloomed one day. The 4 guys who gathered to look at it, all whether by coincidence or something else, end up becoming the most powerful officials in the entire empire. He doesn't try to explain it, he just records the wonder of it all.
So let's step back and tie all this together. What do we make of this amazing collection of science and strategy and art and just plain weird anecdotes? What's the real legacy of the Dream Pool essays?
You know, the true value of this book isn't just counting up his historical firsts, like describing the compass. The real power here is that it preserves a way of thinking. It's a testament to a mind that was constantly observing, constantly questioning, connecting ideas from totally different fields, and then taking the time to write it all down.
So, what can a 1,000-year-old notebook really teach us today? Well, a ton, actually. Shen Kuo shows us the power of trusting what you see with your own 2 eyes, instead of just accepting what you're told. He demonstrates the simple but profound act of just keeping a record of things. He saw no boundaries between art and science and government. It was all just part of the world. And more than anything, he proves that a truly curious human mind is absolutely timeless.
And that really leaves us with one last big question. Shen Kuo lived in a world of ink and paper, and yet he managed to document so many of the wonders around him. We live in an age where we have these unbelievably powerful tools for recording and sharing everything. So the question for us is, what are the strange peonies, the title patterns, the clever strategies of our own era that we're just letting slip by, simply because we don't take a moment to really look and to write them down?